This is Matt for MJ Boxing. I'm going to be interviewing heavyweight prospect Fabio Wardley in a second. Fabio has signed under Dillian Whyte, so we're going to do a quick sort of Q&A slash stroke interview with him, talking about boxing and obviously various other bits and bobs. I'm just going to add him in. I think he's joined. Just give it a sec. I've already messaged him. Here we go. How's it going?
Good. How's things, man?
Yeah, good. I just want to say thank you for giving some of your time just to do this, because we've been wanting to do it with a few fighters and you're the first one, so I appreciate it.
No worries, privilege, no worries.
So, start things off, how have you been getting on during lockdown? How have you managed to sort of adapt your training and cope with stuff like that? Because obviously you've not had the privilege of going to the gym and sparring and doing bits like that. So what have you been managing to do, and have you been sort of keeping busy, ticking over?
To be fair, not really. It's not been too much different. Like at the early stages of everything, when everything first kind of got locked down, there was a few weeks of like, the home workouts, the garden training, just getting by really. But as things went on and stuff, and you could kind of see it wasn't going to be such a short thing. It was going to be there for a while kind of thing. I started buying equipment, getting bits that I needed, that just to maintain all that training, keep everything up as I needed to. And then pretty much it was business as usual from then on, really. It was just same training, same bits and bobs, just getting through it, just making do, really, just using up the time and just not letting all that work before the training and stuff I'd done before go to waste.
Do you think with what's gone on with coronavirus, when we sort of go back to normality a little bit, do you think you'll do anything different than how you did before? Because a lot of people are saying they're going to obviously, take more care of, things like hygiene and wash their hands about 1 million times a day, like everyone's doing now. Are you going to do anything different moving out of this period and stuff like that?
Not really, no. I don't think. I always wash my hands quite a bit anyway, and all those little hygiene things anyway. And I'm 99 times, like, I'm healthy, I'm well looked after, I take vitamins regularly, all of that stuff. So all of my body and my health needs, other than my body taking a battering from boxing itself, it's pretty healthy. So I'm doing all right. So no, there's not too much I'm going to change at all, if anything.
For those who don't know, can you sort of explain how you got into boxing? Because it wasn't your natural sort of amateurs, Olympics, Youth Olympics route. It's quite a different story. So can you sort of explain to everyone how you got into it?
So I started off with the white collar boxing, obviously unlicensed boxing. That's how I started things. And I didn't even mean to kind of end up where I am right now, not intentionally anyways. I didn't really aim for this kind of place, but things just progressed over time. Like I always say, kind of when I explain this, that I just kind of, it seems like one day I just went in the gym and I just never left. That was it. I was there from then onwards. I just fell in love with it, kind of thing. So I started off doing white collar. I had 4 white collar fights in total. Then I turned over pro. And then I had a bit of a rocky start at the beginning of my pro career with a different management team with a lot of cancelled fights and things like that. So there was a lot of a delay and stuff to the beginning of my career. But once we got going, then things started picking up.
Yeah, I can personally speak on that white collar stuff. I've done it once and it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. I've got such an opinion on boxing, and obviously I think when you give your opinion and you say, oh, that fight were boring and stuff, I don't think people realise how hard it actually is. And we were only doing 2-minute rounds, but you do 3 of them and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you see something. It's completely different. It's like nothing before. You can play football, rugby, all of those games. Once you try boxing for a bit, you realise it's just something completely different.
Yeah. You played football for a bit, didn't you, though, for Ipswich? Am I right in thinking you were part of the academy?
When I was a lot younger, when I was about 8 or 9, I was there for a couple of years when I was younger and stuff. But I was never serious about sports and stuff, especially not at that age. I just thought it was fun. I was just messing around, just Like there were some kids there that were taking it so serious, and I was just like, there was coaches trying to tell you what to do, and I was just off in the corner, just kicking the ball about, doing my own little thing, not even paying attention, not
Yeah.
even realizing like, oh, you could actually, if I'd focused and paid attention, I could have made something out of it. But I did it for what it was. I never really like had that real love and passion for football like a lot of like my friends and stuff do. They live and die for football, their teams and support and all
Yeah.
that. Whereas I'm just like, I like it, I watch it and it's cool and that, but I'm not that attached to it like a lot of my friends are. So that's probably why I didn't take to it like that.
So, from what I understand now, you touched on before your promotional and management situation. You're currently signed and managed by Dillian Whyte.
Indeed,
Is that correct?
that's my
Yeah.
guy.
So, with Dillian, how did that relationship come about? Because you mentioned you did the 4, white collar bouts. How did you and Dillian connect?
So I had the 4 white collar fights, turned over pro. I think I've had now 4. So I'd had about 5 pro fights before I signed with Dill.
Yeah.
And leading up to that 5th fight, I was sparring Dill a lot. He was getting ready for different fighters. He was getting ready for like Parker and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was in the camp. I was one of the main sparring partners for that. And I was just around him a lot, even before the Parker fight. He had a different camp he was getting ready for, and I was a sparring partner for that as well. And then just following, I was just always there around, just next to him and stuff. And it just helped us build a relationship, really, and just not anything superficial. It was quite normal, just like chilling, casually, just getting on, just laughing, joking, good sparring. It just all was quite cool and natural. And then over time, the current management team I was with at that point, I was having some issues with, so I separated from them. And me and Dill had obviously been like sparring and stuff, and we built up a good relationship. So we were pretty good friends after about a year and a half. And I just called him on the off chance when I was a free agent, but I didn't call him to say like, "Ah, I'm free. Can you sign me?"
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know he was signing people. I didn't even know he was like taking people on like that. I called him to say, I've got rid of like my old management team. I'm looking at this manager, this manager, this manager, these different guys. Can you just give me some advice on who do you think's good, who do you think's bad, maybe where to go, who to speak to, blah blah blah. And we had like a phone call for a bit, and we was talking. It's funny because I always say like we were talking for a bit, going back and forth with a few different things, and then he just said like, "I know." He just went, "Hang on, hold up," and then just hung up the phone on me. So I was sat there like, "Hang on, what's going on here?" quickly, and then about 5 minutes later, he called me back and said, "You know what? Like, forget all of that stuff. Forget all I said, all those suggestions, blah blah blah. Come with me, sign with me. I'll look after you, and we'll do this properly. Like, I'll manage you right and make sure you get to where you need to be." And that was kind of just how it went. It was just a natural thing, natural progression.
Real, because Dillian now in the position he's in, obviously he's WBC #1 for over 1,000 days. He's quite experienced now in the game. So what do you learn from him? Because he looks like, obviously, he seems a good laugh to be around when you're watching interviews. But he's put the hard work in over the years, and he's taking on challenges sometimes that he really don't need to take because he's #1. What are you picking up, and what have you learned from him being as experienced as he is?
There's a lot of different things you learn, but it's just about having someone there for you, really, that knows everything. That if I have any questions about like training or my diet, or why do I feel like this at this point, or when should I kick up my training, when should I bring it down, and just bits and bobs. There's always someone there with an answer that's proven and tested, and they know how to get you through it, kind of thing. And then there's that, and being around him as well, just on a normal training alongside him, sparring with him and stuff, that rubs off on you. Like if you're next to those type of people that are competing at those high levels, you see how they train, you see how much work they put in, how much time they dedicate to it. So that makes you realize, like, hang on, I need to be at least matching that if I want to be anywhere near the level of where they are. So it's just good to have that next to you, that pointer, that kind of that direction, just mover, just to say, look, you need to go this way with it. This works, that doesn't work, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think speak for a lot of people, and we hope that he gets this chance to fight for the WBC belt because it's been going on far too long.
It's been going on way too long.
As much as I want to see Fury AJ massively, I think it is only fair that he gets a crack beforehand, just because obviously it's been going on for forever and a day, that #1 mandatory thing, and it's only right, really. But speaking of obviously Dillian Whyte, obviously you're fighting on Matchroom shows with Eddie Hearn. Sorry,
Yeah.
he's doing fight camp, and I've just seen you've put on your story you've got some news Friday, so we'll touch on that. He's mentioned your name a few times in interviews about you're going to be one of the fighters fighting there. So how do you feel? And is that something that's happening? And I take it that's when the opponent's going to be announced this bit on Friday.
Yeah, the main details and everything are coming on Friday, but yeah, it's that's something I will be a part of. It'll obviously be the fight I was supposed to have back in April time. That'll be rescheduled and everything, all the same details. So yeah, that'll be coming, but like I say, everything, all the details and stuff of when and where and all that's coming on Friday. So
how do you feel about fighting in that environment? Because I mean, Eddie Hearn he's put in something together that looks pretty incredible, but you've fought on quite big cards before at the O2 in front of a few thousand people now. Is it still, business as usual, just the same, or will you feel a bit different fighting, without that crowd there to give you a bit of a buzz, motivation?
no, it'll be just the same because I've done both. I've done both ends of the spectrum. I've fought first on massive bills where there's no one in the arena. There's just my supporters, and I've done later on down the bill where there is thousands of people in there. So I've done both, so I'm used to both, and I've done more of them early fights where no one's there more than I have the big fights where there's thousands of people. So I'm accustomed to that. That's comfortable for me. That's not a problem. Like ultimately, the fans don't win you the fight. Some fighters do thrive off that. They do like need that boost. That does help them a lot, get them over the line, kind of thing. But I'm not one of those guys.
Yeah, so you can, in an arena full of people, tunnel vision, just block that out, and there's one guy in front of you. It doesn't matter if they're screaming or booing, you can just carry on and do your job.
Yeah, exactly that.
Brilliant. So where you are now in your career, because you haven't had that extensive amateur background like we've mentioned, there's other fighters who sort of got to certain levels like Daniel Dubois, Nathan Gorman, Joe Joyce, to name a few. Where do you see yourself in sort of the next 12 to 18 months? Will you be looking at challenging the likes of Dubois if he still, holds on to his British title, or are you just going your own route and, figuring it out as you go along?
I've always said that I'm aiming for whoever has the belts at the time when I'm kind of ready for them. Me and Daniel have been moving at I've always been a couple of steps behind him. So probably by the time I'm ready to challenge for the British, he'll be on to some sort of international belt, some sort of just under a world championship, something like that. So he'll be probably moving on quicker than I don't see him looking to hold on to that British to defend it really too many times, if at all. So yeah, I'm not really hunting for anyone in particular. There's no individual names or people that I'm going after. It's just I take it as it comes, and whoever's there and whoever does want to give it a go, I'm more than game.
I think you sort of entering a time now where heavyweight boxing's booming again. You've got the top end of the scale with, your Furies, Joshua's, Whites, Wilders, and then you look at the ones like we've just mentioned, Gorman and Dubois have obviously already faced off. There's Joe Joyce there in the mix, but you've got the likes of Dave Allen, who's, gained himself quite a big name. David Price is still about, Derek Chisora. So I think either way you go, you'll still manage to get some big fights when the time comes. Is that something that excites you when you look at all them names and think, one day you'll be ready to jump in with them?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm as it stands now, I'm just outside the top 10. So with all them big names that you mentioned, I'm right there behind them, and getting this win in my next fight and getting the belt, and that will then put me right there with them, right there next to them. My name will then be right there up in line with theirs. Yeah. So that's when the big fights start coming after that, and they come forward, and then we just keep pushing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those type of challenges and then moving forward.
Real. In terms of sparring partners, I've read a little bit about this and I've spoken to you, I think, privately about it. Now, you've sparred one in particular, Alexander Usyk. Now, obviously, he's, king of the division below, and he fought Tony Bellew when he was out in that division and had all the belts. He's now Joshua's mandatory, I think, for the WBO. I think that's supposed to happen after he takes on Chisora. Now, you've sparred him. How do you think he deals coming up from that weight division to heavyweight with obviously not, maybe a naturally bigger man. Do you think he'll cope well?
I think he'll be fine because he's not he's not a small cruiserweight in
No.
any sense of the word, and like he's well built, and him coming into heavyweight doesn't mean that he either has to put on loads of weight or he has to bulk up massively. If you look at him, his style, even at cruiserweight, he's not a massive like one KO knockout punch artist.
No.
He's a clean boxing technician, and he
Yeah.
can still do all that, and it may even be slightly easier with them bigger, slower guys who may gas out a bit quicker, and they may be a bit more slower to the reaction and slower to the punch. So
Yeah.
he can still get all of that off. So I don't see it posing too much of a problem. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be the same game at all. He's in a new division where the men are bigger, the reach is longer. He's at those metric disadvantages. But other than that, I think it's business as usual for him.
Yeah, one thing I didn't notice, I went to the Bellew Usyk fight and he cuts the ring off horribly well. And I was watching Tony, and I saw, and I had Tony winning the fight. A few didn't, but I did, and I thought if he can just keep it up. But you sort of just had a feeling that every time he'd corner him off. And I think it was the first time I've seen a fighter do that other than Triple G, where they sort of have the man there and you know what's coming. They're cutting every angle off and drains the life out of you. So I'd be interested to see what he could do with the likes of Joshua and obviously Dillian and fighters like that. I think that'd be an interesting one. So what I've done finally what I've done is I've just put together a few fights that I think would have happened if it wasn't for lockdown, and if you could sort of give us your predictions on them, and then we'll sort of go from there and speak on them. I won't put you in any awkward positions with Dillian, don't worry.
No worries.
But obviously he had one penciled in for Povetkin, and I know Eddie Hearn's been talking about putting that one on in the back garden of his headquarters.
In the garden.
How do you see that one playing out between Dillian and Povetkin?
Obviously, I think Dill's coming out on top. I think he'll wear him down. Don't get me wrong, Povetkin's he's a great contender. He's a well-schooled. He's been around the game for a long, long time. But he's at the back end of his career now, and I think Dill's just too much, too ferocious, and too powerful for him.
Yeah. Another one which I was quite interested in, and we've just spoke about him, Derek Chisora versus Usyk. How do you see that fight going?
I'll be honest, that's one I'm very torn on. I'm very torn because if the Derek that can turn up does turn up, it would be a very interesting night. Like the thing is with Derek, he only turns up for the fights he's actually interested in. If he doesn't really want to be there, you can tell straight away.
Yeah.
But he does get frustrated by people who don't want to come and engage with him.
Yeah.
Someone who is just like Usyk does. So if Usyk manages to do that and kind of nullify him and just turn him off and make him decide in his head that he's had enough and he doesn't want to do this, you can see that side of Derek coming out. But if not, if he comes full throttle and really puts it on him, then it could be a very interesting night. I'm really not sure with that one.
Yeah, I'm going to say I've thought about this and thought it'd be good to see how Usyk adapts to the weight and see if obviously when he's throwing the punches, a natural heavyweight like Chisora's punch resistance, and if he gets discouraged and thinks, Jesus, I'm throwing everything, what's going to happen? And you're right with Chisora. I think, do you not think since he's joined up with David Hay, which was, for me, it was strange at the start.
Weird.
He has looked in incredible shape since he started joining up with him, and I think his performances, even the fight with Dillian in the second fight, the shape he was in for that was unreal, and I'd give him every chance in that fight.
Yeah, definitely. Since he's joined with Hay, you've seen him. Like one thing out of all of Hay's career, he always came in great shape. Yeah. And he's given all those tools to Derek to use, and Derek seems to have taken them on very well. So he's been looking very good as of late.
Yeah, for sure. Another one, obviously, Joshua versus Pulev. Do you think Pulev can cause Joshua any problems at this stage of his career?
Not really, no. Don't think so. Don't get me wrong, it's heavyweight, he's well experienced, and there's always a puncher's chance. But I think Joshua will be well prepared and pretty much have a game plan set and know what to do with him, really. He's not the most difficult of fighters to really prepare for. You kind of know what you're going to get with Pulev. So Yeah, I don't see that one being too much trouble. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it'll be the easiest night to work, but I don't think it will be the hardest either.
Okay. And finally, Fury versus Joshua. Who wins?
I got asked this recently as well, and even though I am very impressed with Joshua as of late in terms of like how he dealt with the Ruiz the second time around, and
Yeah.
and how he proved that he could actually box and stick to a game plan and just do that kind of sweet science boxing. I just think Fury will be too much for him. Just too unorthodox, too strange, too just like he just moves in such weird ways. Like even when I've sparred him, and I'm quite quick as well, and sometimes I can't even catch him, and it's just like
Yeah.
it just you can't really plan ahead because he doesn't really know what he's doing next anyway. So you can't plan off
Yeah.
that because he hasn't really got a clue himself. But it works for him, and he's been doing really well with it. So yeah, I think Fury will come out on top on that one.
What were them spars like that you had with Fury? And you mentioned he's very quick, and obviously you're quick. So what were they like? Were it back and forth? Did he just try and outbox you for the duration, or how did they go? Them spars.
It was mainly him outboxing me, just being smart on his feet, being light, quick, and obviously he's got massive range and reach as well. So
Yeah.
him that time combined with him being quick as well just made it a hard night's work for me, really. But it was good, and that was even when I was sparring him. Then was even like that was before what that was a warming up for like one of his warm up fights. So he wasn't even in like
Yeah.
prime shape like he has been of his last two fights.
Was that when he was ready to fight in Vegas against Wallin or Schwartz then, or was that
Nah,
before that?
even before that, like Pineta or what was the other one? I can't remember his name.
Cetra?
Yeah,
Was
one
that?
of those two. It was one of those two warm up fights that I was helping him with. So he still had that extra weight on, and he still had a little bit of that extra kind of drag on him. So he wasn't even in like prime peak fitness or anything at all. So to spar him more recently, if I would, then it would probably be a different game entirely.
Yeah. Well, I've sort of asked everything I wanted to ask you, and I wouldn't keep you too long. So
No
I
worries.
just want to say massively appreciate your time with us, and you're the first fighter that's done this with us. So
Privilege.
yeah, no, good luck with everything, and like I said, we'll keep an eye out for you, keep reposting your stuff, and good luck with the announcement Friday where we find everything out, and yeah, go from there. So yeah, appreciate it. So Matt for MJ Boxing, thank you, Fabio Wardley.
No worries,
Appreciate
bud.
it.
Thank you very much. Catch you soon.
Appreciate it. Cheers.
See you later, mate. Bye.
See you, bud. Bye.